Hăīrē, and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 3, taking a look at verse 8, going through the middle of the page, which stops right before 9. If I can find the piece of paper. There it is. This is our rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's go ahead and get started. To pneuma hopu thele pne kai tein phonein autu akues al uk oidas pothen erketai kai pu hupage. Hutos estin pasho gegenemenos ektu pneumatos. And that's as far as we're going to make it. Very first thing that we want to find is our verb as always. We've got an article here from ho, he, to, so that's not going to work. Pneuma, that looks like a noun that goes with the article. Hopu, that's an adverb. And thele, from thelo, our epsilon iota ending right there, so that tells us this is a third person singular. It is on the present stem, it is active, and it is indicative. And this one just means to wish, to will, and I don't remember if want is a good option for this one, but I'm just going to stick with wish or will. No, it needs a third person subject, or we should expect a subject anyway, because the verb is third person. So let's go back to to pneuma. To is our neuter article, so this could be either nominative with pneuma or accusative singular. So it could be the spirit wishes or the spirit wills. Now will would normally take, I think it could take an infinitive or it could take a direct object. So we'll need to keep our eye out for either of those to confirm or deny whether or not that's the subject. Moving on to hopu. Hopu is an adverb and it means where. Moving on, pne, epsilon iota right there. We've got another verbal ending. It's going to be identical to this one. Yes, it is identical to this one. Just pull that in. And so we've got two verbs right here. And that means we've got two different clauses. So pneuma has to be our subject. So the spirit wishes, goes. That's a pretty weird way of saying things. The spirit wishes where it goes. A bit off, so then what that might mean is we've got a clause sandwiched, nested, nested is a better word, nested within another clause, where hopu as an adverb has to modify its verb, and that would be thele, and pne could be the verb of our main clause. The way we translated it where there's not main clause, first clause. Thele as the verb of the first clause, the way that we were doing that initially, sounds a bit off, so trying it with pne, which means blow. The spirit blows where it wishes. And that one actually does work. Better, at least. Pull this right over there. Kai, coordinating conjunction, and pnein phonane, that is. Eta nu on that noun and eta nu in that article tell us that this is accusative, singular, feminine. The sound or the voice, autu, I've already seen that one many times before, don't need to parse it, of it, except that this is neuter, should specify, neut. Aku ace, there's the verb for this third clause right here. Epsilon iota sigma is a second person singular, present, active, indicative. You hear. You're going to hear an accusative, or you can hear of a genitive. I think the way it works is if you hear a genitive as your object, then you're not hearing the entirety of the sound or the entirety of the speech. Or, yeah, this is where the details get fuzzy, mixing between Attic and Koine. So, there's one way that I remember a teacher telling us in Attic, and I don't think it works quite the same way in Koine. So I'm just going to leave it as it is here. Phonane is the accusative, so hearing, accusative, and then autu is just owning that. And we'll leave it at that, comma. Allah, but, another conjunction, uk, so not, our next verb is going to be negated. Udas, not udas, oidas, this is from oida esomai. It is a irregular verb in that its first principal part appears to be aorist in form, but it is present in translation. And the reason behind that is because it's technically from the third principal part of horao. Horao opsamai eidan, and then eidan changes into oida, or is it perfect form? I'm second guessing myself, but from what I remember, it's related to eidan at the very least. And what it means is, I have seen, therefore I know. So AS right there is going to be second person singular, present in form, perfect, present in meaning, perfect in form, active and indicative. You, ook, do not know. Pothen. Pothen is another adverb in the vein of hopu, except this one means from where. We got our locative ending right there, then, which will appear also on city names, at least in Attic Greek. Do not know from where, erketai, tau alpha iota with the connecting vowel epsilon right there. Tau alpha iota is going to be our third person singular. My etai, off of erk, our present stem. Active and indicative. Looking ahead, conjunction, looks like another verb, so there's no noun mentioned, so then that means we should assume pneuma, since that was the last subject with a third person verb. It goes, or comes. Kai, and pu, another adverb, where upage, epsilon iota, it's the same thing as this. Just pulling that over. Present tense as well. It goes. So since this one's goes, this one is probably going to be comes. Especially since it's from where. Should have seen it earlier. But there we go. That's our clause up to this colon. Let's check it out. The spirit blows where it wishes, and you hear sound of it, or voice of it, but do not know from where it comes and where it goes. Another option, since this, just based on the context of this, it could be wind, but probably not. Moving on. Hutos, our omega sigma right there, tell us that this is an adverb. Translated as thus, normally. Estin, we've got a movable nu right there off of our irregular verb. Amy, this is the third person singular present tense. Active indicative. Is, well, we'll leave that alone for the moment. Pas, from pas, pas upon. Got our chart right here. This is going to be the nominative singular masculine. There's no other form that matches it. Ho, it's from ho, he, to. There's no accent there, so we know it's not a relative pronoun. The, pointing to gegenemenos, omicron sigma right there for nominative singular masculine. To match with pas. Prepositional phrase starts right there. Then our verb ends right there, so that's where the prepositional phrase is going to stop. Thus is all ho gegenemenos. This gamma epsilon right there is a sign of reduplication off of a verb. Mu epsilon nu is going to be the participial suffix, and that should be able to identify its form for us. Ga, the reduplication only appears in the perfect and the pluperfect. Pluperfect doesn't have a participle, so perfect tense, and then we just need to figure out, is this an active, middle, or passive verb, or if it's a deponent. This comes from genao. Ao is a normal verb ending in the present tense on the first principal part, so it's not going to be, it's not going to be deponent. So nominative singular masculine, perfect middle passive participle. Now, if it were middle, it'd be having borne for itself. If it were passive, having been born. And now we just want to check it within the context to see which of those two makes the most sense. So, thus is all the having borne for itself, ek tu pneumatos, which we've seen beforehand, from the Spirit. Or, thus is all the having been born from the Spirit. Based on the context of our previous page, which I'll pull out right here, we translated gegenemenon last time we saw it. So this time we got a masculine instead of a neuter. We translated it as a passive with ekte sarkos, ek tu pneumatos. So that's the way we should also treat it here. Circle passive, cross out that. Having been born from the Spirit. Oops, there's an either. So since in the previous page we translated pneuma always as spirit rather than wind, we should also treat this one as spirit, unless there were a very definite reason why we shouldn't. Though I would expect in that case for John to actually use a completely different word. It's not coming to mind, but I think there's another word for wind. So there we go all the way through the end of 8. Let's check it in its own context before the greater context. The Spirit blows where it wishes, and you hear the sound of it, or the voice of it, but do not know from where it comes and where it goes. Thus is all the having been born, or all, might say, those, except that's singular, so we can't do that. Every one, there we go. Everyone having been born from the Spirit. Now it makes sense. Okay, from verse 1. But there was man of Pharisees, Nicodemus was named to him, of leaders of the Jews. This one came to him at night, and he said to him, Rabbi, we know that you have come from God, a teacher, for no one is able to do these signs which you yourself do, unless the God is with him. Jesus answered and said to him, Truly, truly, I say to you, if someone has not been born from above, he is not able to see the kingdom of the God. Nicodemus says to him, How is a man able to be born once being old? Surely he is not able, where did it go, to enter into the womb of his mother a second time and to be born. Jesus answered, Amen, amen, I say to you, unless someone has been born from water and spirit, he is not able to come into the kingdom of the God. The one having been born from the flesh is flesh, and the having been born from the Spirit is spirit. Don't wonder that I said to you, it is necessary for you all to be born, to have been born from above. The Spirit blows where it wishes, and the sound of it you hear, but do not know from where it comes and where it goes. Thus is every one having been born from the Spirit. And there we go, through end of 8. Don't know if this is going to be the end of the quote or not, so I'm not going to put quotation marks there at all. But I am going to do that as a reminder that this is a continuation from quoting. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope you have a very good day. Farewell. Hey, you not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other videos that are equally sleep-inducing. Check them out. Alternatively, you could take a look at this video over here,